This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com. Jericho comes out next, and he wasn't advertised on the show, but he does a promo where he says he's the reason everyone over 25 is still watching wrestling. He said that even easy for me to say, Wade Barrett is getting more attention than the others. And he says he's the most important wrestler on the roster and greatest wrestler of the generation. And he said on Raw that Evan Bourne used the shooting star press after the match, and it was unfair. So it's a late added match here. It's Evan Bourne and Chris Jericho. They get 12 minutes and change. Meltzer absolutely loved it. This is the match of the show. He gives it 4 stars. And the fans start off pulling for Jericho, and they're booing Bourne heavily. But at the end of this, when Bourne gets the win with the shooting star press, it feels like we're making a guy, man. What do you think of the match? And why don't you think Evan Bourne is still in the WWE today?
Well, I bet if you go back and you watch the match closely, even though the fans were cheering for Jericho, he wasn't catering to them.
No.
He wasn't accepting all those cheers and all that stuff. It would have been real easy for him to just work babyface and just dominated the reaction, but he stayed, the course. He did what he does. He did a few rotten things, and before you knew it, you started pulling for Evan Bourne, who could do some incredible stuff. And he was a small guy, but man, was he athletic. Jericho would have been right there to catch him on everything. And, what turned out to be just an add-on match, I'm sure was one of the matches that when you left there that night, you went, man, I enjoyed that match.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's the best match on the show. I think the readers of the Wrestling Observer think so too. Let's get to a recap of what's happening next on the show. But first, talk to me about Evan Bourne. This is a guy who was very impressive when I first saw him in Ring of Honor and some independent stuff. And it feels like he's impressed everywhere he went, but for whatever reason, he just hasn't become this breakout star. He can do some really spectacular stuff. What do you think has held him back a little bit?
During this point in his employment, what do you think it was? Knowing me and, just telling you the truth, what do you think was the knock on Evan Bourne?
Well, I mean, once upon a time, the WWF was considered the land of the giants. Would Vince say he wasn't big enough?
Bingo. Didn't matter what he could do. If he wasn't big enough, now you got to go back in time. That still goes on today. Look at your champion today. Look at your champion of a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago. Look at who those guys were. And you can pretty much base who your champion is on the way talent is viewed. Evan Bourne would have been considered, not by me. I've often said it's not about the size, it's about the performance.
Right.
It's, he would have been considered too small.
It's a shame, man. Talented guy. Next. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.